My boyfriend's best friend hated me from day one, and now I found out they used to date. Now she wants him back, and I'm the one who walked away. I don't know if I'm being wildly unreasonable and jealous over this, so I need some outside opinions. I, 29F, have been with my BF, 30M, for 3 years, and we share an apartment. He has a female friend, Nell, 34F, and they were friends for years before I came along. I had no issue with their closeness. I have male friends and knew I'd be a hypocrite to leap to judgments, but at this point I feel I'm justified in thinking the way I do about her. The first time I met her, it was extremely obvious Nell didn't like me. She came into the bar all excited to see my BF, before noticing me. Her entire demeanor changed. She shook my hand and dug her nails into my skin before ignoring me the rest of the night. She even seemed upset at one point that I took the seat beside my BF and quietly left halfway through the evening without saying goodbye. So it's safe to say my first impression of her wasn't good, but I tried to reason with myself that not everyone gets along, and I don't need to be friends with my BF's friends. However, as time passed, it became really clear. Nell's attitude towards me wasn't improving. She had a way of openly mocking me in front of groups of people, making side comments or loudly joking about my voice or appearance. My BF would stand there and say nothing, and after the fact when I asked him about it, he'd say he hadn't noticed. She'd also make a show of hugging him hello and goodbye and not me. She would mix that kind of stuff in with smiles and basic politeness, so it was tough to articulate exactly what she'd done. I felt very much like I was back in high school. From that point on, I basically decided I didn't need to have someone like that in my life, so just stopped going to things she was at. I haven't seen her in about a year. My BF still sees her regularly and they text often. I'm now at the stage where I fully believe they've either dated in the past or have something going on now. I've tried gently bringing this up, but he denies they ever dated and makes me feel like I'm being jealous and bitter by asking. I end up suppressing those feelings before something brings them up again. I've reached the end of my tether with it. The final straw for me came the other day, when my BF left his phone open and I saw a text exchange between the two. Nell had sent him a heart emoji, and my BF had written something about how he was thinking of her. I know I should have said something then and there, but I felt numb and decided to go to bed. I'm trying to work out how to handle this. Is it possible nothing's going on here? It's something I've tried arguing in my head, but then something else pops up that makes me doubt it. Maybe friends do just send hearts and I'm making this up because I don't care for Nell? I don't want that to be the case. I'm basically at a point where I feel he either has to tell me the truth and restrict contact with Nell, or else I don't feel like I can maintain the relationship. I feel constantly disrespected, and I want something to change but don't know how to go about it. Any advice would be so welcomed. Update 1. First, I'd like to sincerely thank everyone for the kind comments. I didn't expect so many responses, and I appreciate them all. I wanted to provide everyone with an update because a lot has happened. A few days ago, after a lot of tearful soul-searching, I decided the best thing for me would be to walk away from the relationship. I sat my BF down and talked to him about it. I explained that I always felt like the third wheel in my own relationship, and that for my own happiness, I didn't want to be in a relationship that made me feel that way anymore. I gave examples to him that I did in my original post, such as his lack of boundaries with Nell, and his disinterest in standing up for me whenever she mocked me. I also said my trust in him had been eroded to the point where I felt unsure of what I really was to him. I told him I still cared about him and wanted him to be happy, but that I wanted to be happy too. My BF sat silently for a while before asking, "So, you're jealous of Nell?" I felt like he'd barely processed anything I'd just said, and when I tried clarifying, he got defensive and told me he was allowed female friends. I could tell he wanted to turn it into an argument, and since my mind was already made up and I'd said what I wanted, I ended the conversation and he played a computer game and acted like I wasn't there as I packed my things and left. I've been staying with my best friend, who is amazing and always so supportive. We're actually looking into sharing a place officially. I burst into tears on her doorstep, and we hugged it out, before having a movie night with a pizza and some wine. It felt really therapeutic, like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. My family have been amazing too, rallying round and taking me out for little meals and stuff. I even got 1 or 2 sweet messages from my BF's friends saying they were sorry and that they fully understood my point of view, which is interesting. I imagined that would be the end of it, but the next morning I woke up to messages from a number I didn't know. It was Nell. I honestly didn't think she'd contact me, so to see walls and walls of text in my inbox was a shock. Let me run down some of the things she said. She repeatedly insisted that she never bullied me and said she had no idea where that came from. She said I'd always seemed cold towards her, so tried to make little jokes to break the ice. Openly mocking someone is an interesting method, but I digress. Lastly, she told me I was making things up by suggesting she ever had a thing with my ex. They were just friends. She finished with a passive-aggressive apology that I'd ruined my own relationship by being jealous and listening to voices in my head. I didn't respond to her venom or try to get the last word. I know she wanted to repeat her tried-and-true method of hitting out at me and enjoying my reaction, so I didn't give her one. I've been focusing on other things to start building my self-esteem and happiness back. My ex has not tried to contact me since I left, and I'm glad. Frankly, I think him and Nell are perfect for each other. I'm well and truly done with this, and I'm so excited for new things in my life. My friend and I are making arrangements to officially have a place together, and I actually got promoted at work today. I feel like it was a little hug from the universe. In all, things are looking bright. So to end things, I want to thank everyone again for the messages. I think hearing your opinions, as well as getting all my thoughts out in a post, are what really opened my eyes and allowed me to leave. I finally feel I'm making myself the priority. Feels pretty great. Update 2. Hey everyone, I didn't think I'd be back with another update, but some unexpected things have happened. First off, thank you all again for the support and encouragement. I never realized how much I was settling until I walked away, and I genuinely feel better every day. But as it turns out, there's more to the story, and things took a surprising turn recently. About a week after my last update, Nell tried to reach out again. This time, it wasn't just a random wall of text. She actually showed up at my best friend's apartment where I've been staying. I didn't even know how she found the place, which was honestly a little unsettling. My best friend answered the door and told her to leave, but Nell refused to go until she talked to me. So, after some convincing from my friend and a bit of curiosity on my part, I decided to go outside and see what she wanted. The conversation was bizarre, to say the least. Nell was visibly upset, almost on the verge of tears, which was a side of her I hadn't seen before. She started talking really fast, saying how she needed to clear the air and that she felt misunderstood. She insisted that everything between her and my ex was strictly platonic and always had been, but then she dropped a bombshell that caught me completely off guard. Nell admitted that she and my ex had, in fact, dated, briefly, years before I came into the picture. She claimed it was a long time ago and that they had mutually decided they were better off as friends. According to her, it was nothing serious, and they'd moved on from it quickly. But this was the first time I'd ever heard about it. My ex had flat out denied any romantic history between them, yet here she was, confirming what I had suspected all along. I asked Nell why she never told me this before, especially when I had brought it up with my ex multiple times. She kind of shrugged and said she thought it was ancient history and didn't think it was relevant. But here's the kicker. She admitted that she had feelings for him again, and had been hoping he would feel the same now that I was out of the picture. She was basically trying to justify her behavior towards me by saying that she was acting out because she was jealous of our relationship. I was honestly stunned. It was one thing to suspect something, but to hear her say it out loud was surreal. Nell then started crying and apologizing, saying she regretted how things had gone down and that she didn't mean to hurt me. She begged me not to hold it against her and asked if we could try to be civil moving forward, especially since she and my ex were exploring things now. I didn't know how to respond at first. Part of me wanted to tell her off, but the other part just felt done with it all. I told her that while I appreciated her apology, it didn't change the fact that she had been manipulative and mean-spirited towards me for years. I also made it clear that I wasn't interested in having any sort of relationship with her, civil or otherwise. I wished her well and walked back inside. My friend was fuming on my behalf, but honestly, I felt a strange sense of closure. It was like everything finally made sense. Here's where things get even crazier. A few days after that encounter, I got a call from one of my ex's friends, the same one who had reached out with a supportive message after I left. He asked if we could meet up for coffee, saying there were things I needed to know. I was hesitant, But curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed. When we met, he told me that he had found out some disturbing information about Nell and my ex. Apparently, during the time my ex and I were together, Nell had been pushing hard to rekindle things with him behind my back. She'd been sending him flirty texts, and even tried to kiss him at a party once. My ex had apparently told her to stop, but he never told me about any of this. His friend showed me screenshots of conversations between my ex and Nell where she was clearly crossing boundaries, and my ex was clearly uncomfortable, yet he never put a firm stop to it. What's worse, the friend said that a lot of their mutual friends had noticed Nell's behavior, but no one said anything to me because they didn't want to cause drama. I couldn't believe it. People had seen this all happening and no one thought to clue me in. At this point, I feel like I dodged a massive bullet. My ex was clearly spineless when it came to setting boundaries with Nell, and while I feel sorry for him in a way, I'm also furious that he kept me in the dark for so long. It's one thing for Nell to act out of jealousy, but for my ex to lie to my face repeatedly about their history and let her continue to disrespect me? That's unforgivable. I told his friend that I appreciated the honesty, but I wasn't interested in rehashing things with my ex or anyone in his circle. I'm done with all of them. I'm moving forward, focusing on my new place with my best friend and building a life that has nothing to do with the drama I left behind. So that's where things stand. It's been a wild ride, but I'm feeling stronger every day. My ex and Nell are welcome to whatever mess they make together because I'm no longer part of it. Life is already looking better on the other side. Thanks again for all the support. It's been a huge help in getting me through this. Update 3. Hey everyone. I didn't expect to be back again so soon, but I have some final updates that I feel are worth sharing. Life has been moving forward in unexpected ways, and I wanted to give closure to this whole saga. After my last update, I really focused on settling into my new place with my best friend. We've been having a blast decorating and making the space our own. It's been such a relief to have a fresh start, free from the constant anxiety I used to feel in my relationship. But just when I thought things had finally quieted down, I got another surprise, a message from my ex. He reached out to me about 2 weeks after my coffee meeting with his friend. At first, I considered ignoring it, but something told me to hear him out. He was apologetic, saying he regretted how things ended and that he wanted to clear the air. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet up. We met at a cafe and he looked rough, like he hadn't been sleeping. He started off by apologizing again, saying he realized too late how much he had let Nell's behavior affect our relationship. He admitted that he had been too passive and that he should have set boundaries a long time ago. He also confessed that he had never truly been over Nell when we first started dating, but he thought he could move past it. Clearly, that didn't happen. He then dropped a bombshell. Nell had moved in with him shortly after I left, and things were already falling apart between them. Apparently, once they were living together, her possessiveness and jealousy skyrocketed. She became extremely controlling, constantly questioning him about his whereabouts, going through his phone, and even showing up at his work unannounced. He said it was like she had flipped a switch, and now he was seeing a side of her he had never noticed before. To be honest, I wasn't surprised. Nell had always seemed to have a dark side, and it was only a matter of time before it came out. My ex looked defeated as he told me all of this, and he admitted that he had made a huge mistake by not valuing our relationship more. He said he missed me, that he missed the life we had together, and that he wanted to know if there was any chance we could start over. I sat there in silence for a long time, processing everything he said. A year ago, I might have jumped at the chancey to get back together, to fix things and try again. But now, I just felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no longing. I realized in that moment that I had truly moved on. I told him that while I appreciated his apology, there was no going back for me. Too much had happened, and I had grown too much as a person to ever return to the way things were. I wished him well and walked away, feeling lighter than I had in years. So that's it, folks. I'm officially closing this chapter of my life. I'm in a much better place now, and I'm excited for whatever the future holds. Thank you all again for your kindness and support. It helped me more than I can say. Onwards and upwards.